guys? This is Riley from the Shootin' the Shit podcast, here to remind you of our sponsor, Cornelius & Sons. Head to facebook.com if you're in the greater Illinois area, for all your home construction needs this winter. This interview with Jason Knight will start in the middle of the interview, or the middle of the interview. Unfortunately, we had connection issues, so it cut out the first couple minutes of the show. No big deal. We'll jump right into the first topic, so hope you guys enjoy. Well, let's jump right into it. Recently I was on your social media page, and I saw an interesting video on there. It was a video of you and several other people confronting somebody on the side of a road. So can you kind of just explain the incident, what happened, and the end result? Because I believe the video was entitled that you slapped somebody. It wasn't seen on camera, but it looked like it probably did happen.
What happened, man? Me and my big brother, we were going to get a four-wheeler. And I want to say it was like Poplarville, Mississippi or something. But anyways, we see this guy swerving all over the road. And my brother's like, this dude's drunk. He's fixing to wreck. And it had been raining that day. So every now and then, like, you'd see him swerve off the road, big splash of water come up. Well, the next thing you know, my brother's like, I'm going to start recording. He's about to wreck. Sure enough, he wrecked. And we get out. We're just going to record. And whenever we got to get out, the guy, he jumps in his truck. He's still in his truck. He run off into the edge of the woods. He starts trying to back up. The next thing you know, you see this guy running down the hill to him, and we find out later the guy was an off-duty cop. Well, we get down there, we're recording, and he starts talking trash to me and my brother, talking about how he beat us up and all sort of stuff. And then he said something about he pulls up his shirt and his belly says white pride. And he said something about, men use the same color. You're supposed to be my people. My brother's like, I wish a black dude was here so he could beat your ass. And then the guy he said something about, I'll whoop both of y'all right now. And then my brother starts laughing. He said, what you think I want? And he walked up and he slapped the phone out of my brother's hand. Well, when he did that, my brother slapped him. My brother's a big old boy. And whenever he slapped him, he knocked him smooth out with a slap. But I'm not sure who posted that up. I think it was one of my buddies, but it wasn't me who actually slapped him. It was my big brother. But it was some of the funniest stuff I ever seen in my life.
Yes, I would assume that off-duty cop was the guy who put him in the basically the half Indian hold and crossed his legs and went over the top of him and kind of restrained him, right?
Yeah, the cop, he was pretty cool, but the guy just kept acting like he was ready to leave the scene, like he was going to go somewhere. So the cop was like, no, you're not going anywhere, and slung him down and held him till the cops that were on duty got there.
Yeah, and then that was funny. The last thing I'll touch on this one. It's funny that he said that you're my white dudes or whatever, that you should be on my side. It's just like, dude, my ethnic background is Polish. If there was a Polish guy being an asshole, it's not like I'm automatically going to be on his side. So it's kind of a stupid thing
that's
to do.
it. The way I look at it, I don't care what color your skin is. If you're driving crazy about to wreck and kill people, then you definitely don't need to be driving.
So did he end up getting arrested by the police then?
Yeah, they took him to jail that day. I never heard from him again or heard anything about it ever again, but I'm sure he at least spent the night in the drunk tank.
Well, what was funny, too, is he was saying that he was going to beat you up, and then, 2 minutes later in the video, it looked like he was actually crying, so...
Yeah, it was pretty funny, man. You don't get to see the whole video, but at one point in the video, he's like, man, this cracker's going to have me on an iPod, man. It was funny as hell.
So interesting stuff. So, now more specifically to your career, because we're here promoting a fight for you. Before we talk about your upcoming fight, I had mentioned this to somebody, a guest we'd had a few shows ago, because they also had jumped between MMA and bare-knuckle. So, and I also talked to my kickboxing coach this week. Is there any disadvantage or in taking both MMA and bare-knuckle fights, or do you think there's advantages to doing so? I'll give you the background. My coach said that he couldn't imagine doing both at the same time because it's just two different sports, but there's plenty of people doing it.
Uh, the main thing is you kind of got to shut off, your MMA brain whenever it's time for the bare knuckle fights. Um, that's kind of what I did. Whenever I decided to do bare knuckle, I focused solely on boxing and work my ass off, get my boxing skills better. And I just here recently decided that I was going to make my run back to the UFC, and the main reason being for that, bare knuckle, man, it's hell on your hands. I didn't break my hands either time, but they swole up like 3 times the size of what they were supposed to be, and it just took them a long time to heal. And as far as I mean, as far as MMA goes, like switching back and forth, I really think that you could do both if you wanted to, but you would have to stay more MMA based than the bare knuckle based. Uh, you couldn't just abandon your kicks and stuff for one fight. Like as far as the sparring and stuff goes, you would still have to keep up with that. But yeah, I don't really believe it's that hard to train MMA and then go fight a bare knuckle fight. I think that you're gonna know the rule set when you go in there. You're not gonna accidentally kick somebody or knee somebody. So as long as you keep doing that in your training and you go out there and fight with just the hands, I think it'd be fine.
Yeah, that's always kind of a question I had in training for bare knuckle. I mean, when you're sparring, do you wear MMA gloves or do you simulate it as you would with bare knuckle? How does that work?
No, whenever we were sparring and stuff, I strictly wore boxing gloves. But as we got close to the fight, I started hitting pads. Either MMA gloves or bare knuckle, or even hitting the bags. I would hit MMA gloves and bare knuckle just to kind of get that range down. Because with the boxing glove, you have with the padding and all, it's probably another 4 to 6 inches worth of reach, and you wanna get that timing and the perfect range down with just your bare hand,
Right.
and I believe that'd be the only difference.
Well, the other thing I was thinking too is blocking. It's a lot easier to block punches with
Yeah,
boxing
yeah.
boxing mitts than having nothing on. So
I didn't really think about that, but yeah, I mean, I never did any kind of blocking without the actual gloves. You just kind of gotta wing it when you get in there, kind of get used to it as you go.
for sure, for sure. Now, before we get into your upcoming fight, some of your more recent, staying with the bare knuckle, were your two bouts with Artem Lobov. Both fights were outstanding. Obviously, you won the last encounter, and again, it was bloody, it was exciting. Can you talk about the difference between the two fights you had with Lobov, and then comment on your most recent one? What was different from the first time you took him on?
Uh, skill wise, I don't think I made very many adjustments as far as like training camp. Both times I was just as prepared, but in the first fight, I don't know why, I don't know what happened, but the very first punch he threw, all of my skill went out the window. It was like I went back to high school or something. I just wanted to show him that I was tougher than he was. I wanted to hit him more than he hit me, and I wanted to prove to the world and him that I could take more than he could. And I just threw all the skill away and fought like a madman. And the second fight, I did pretty much the same exact thing, as far as training camp goes, trained all the same stuff. But whenever it came down to fight time, I had it in my head that I was not going to leave, cut up and beat up like I did the first time. I made sure that I went out there and I stuck to the game plan. I moved, I kept my hands up, I hit my angles and stuff like I was supposed to, and I barely got touched the whole fight. So, really, more or less, more than anything, it was kind of the mindset had changed for the fight. I didn't want to show him that I was tougher than he was. I wanted to show him that I was better than he was.
Sure, sure. And then, obviously we don't want to know, we don't want to get into financials and stuff because, that's personal and stuff. But Paige Van Zant just fought for bare knuckle the other day, and she said she was making 4 times than what she made in the UFC. Bare knuckle FC, is that a good way to get a payday? Are the checks comparable to the UFC's?
I believe the bigger your name is, the bigger your paycheck's going to be. It doesn't really matter what organization you're in. I think Paige Van Zant, I think she got that big, huge contract strictly because she was going to bring a whole new set of viewers to bare knuckle. Do I think they're going to keep paying her that way? No, I don't believe there's any kind of way that they can. Right now, don't get me wrong, I love bare knuckle. I love fighting bare knuckle. It's a lot of fun. But as of right now, it's nowhere near competing, UFC wise. Maybe the money, but as far as like the talent skill, in BKFC you've got 3 or 4 good guys in each division, and you go to the UFC and say there's probably, just say the 145-pound division. I have no clue how many people's in that division, but there's probably 100 or better. And every single one of them that you fight are straight dogs who had to work their asses off to get to that level. Well, the BKFC, they're signing guys that have 1 or 2 pro fights, and even some that have no pro fights. And they're just trying to build their name up. Right now, they're so lower level, competition that they're not even competing.
For sure. Now, obviously, you said that the focus right now is going to be on MMA. Makes a lot of sense. Your next fight coming up here at iKon Fighting Federation, which is a new up-and-coming promotion, which has actually been pretty attractive since its first show. It's on UFC Fight Pass, so that's also a good way to get the boss's attention. So why don't you kind of just comment on how this fight came together? You're taking on Christopher Ramirez in the main event. So why don't you comment on him as an opponent as well? And we don't need the game plan, obviously, because you don't want to give that away. But how do you see this going?
Man, honestly, I talked to Dean Toole about it. I've seen Dean Toole is the promoter for iKon. And I seen, they had a couple shows, and they were already on UFC Fight Pass. And I went to him about it. I was like, hey, man, I'm thinking about getting back in MMA. When would you have your next card, closer to the house? He said, we're going to do March 5th in Biloxi. If you want on the card, you're on the card. I was like, awesome. I told him that'd be great. Well, they come out with Christopher Ramirez, and he's a guy from Mexico. And for some reason, he had some kind of difficulties. He had to get something straightened out or whatever to be able to get into the country or something like that. So now I'm actually fighting a guy named Taurine Bogus or Bogus.
Okay.
I'm not exactly
sure
how
I've
you.
heard of him.
Yeah, he's out of Iowa, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be fighting him now instead. And I've watched 1 or 2 of his fights. And honestly, I'm not trying to take him lightly or anything like that, but I don't see a whole lot of things that I have to worry about. So I'm going to go out there. I'm going to fight full, complete fight as smart as I can, standing up, as smart as I can on the ground, and see where it goes. I'm not going to come in with any kind of specific game plan. Just going to go out there and go with the flow and make sure I get my hand raised at the end of the day. The plan is to beat him every second of every round, and afterwards see if Sean Shelby wants to give me a call.
Absolutely. Now, realistically, and obviously with the current situation, there's a lot of late notice fights, with guys testing positive or travel restrictions like you were mentioning for the other fighter you were supposed to fight. Realistically, how many wins do you think it takes to get you back to the UFC? Obviously, you can say 1 or 2 or whatever, but what do you think the exact number is or range of number there?
I believe, at the worst, I need to get, 2 to 3 wins in a row. I do think that, possibly they could call me after this fight because I'm going to be main event on UFC Fight Pass, and I plan on going out here and showing them everything that I didn't do while I was in the UFC. You know, they want to see me wrestle. If he tries to take me down, I plan on stopping every takedown. If he doesn't try to take me down, I'm going to take him down, you know, just to show them that I can wrestle and my wrestling has improved. And, you know, maybe I'm lucky enough that they see what they wanted to see from me and get me right back in there. If not, you know, that's fine. I'm going to turn around. You know, if I don't take any injuries, I'm going to turn around, book another fight almost automatically, so that way I can get in at least 2 or 3 this year. And, you know, my ultimate goal is by the end of 2021, be back in the UFC and, you know, back on track.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's something that a lot of fans would welcome. I know that you had a cult following in the UFC. You had the personality and the fight style, quite frankly, that got fan base. Now, I was just thinking of this while you were talking. Was it you or was it the other? God, who was it? That they were like the hillbilly Diaz brother. Was that you?
Yeah, they called me Hick Diaz.
Yes.
I fought Jim Allers in my second UFC fight.
Right.
And I'm not 100% sure what he did before the fight or what he said, but he was in some interview before the fight, and he said something that just got under my skin. And he was talking about how he's going to take me down and finish me on the ground, get back to, you know, what got him to the UFC, you know, something along those lines. And I remember during the fight, you know, he was kind of not necessarily running from me, but he was backing away, trying to get away from some of the attacks that I was throwing at him. So the more he backed away, the more I screamed at him. And then I screamed at him, telling him, you know, get that takedown. I know that's what you want, you know, stuff like that. Just I was mad during the fight, so I just kept screaming at him. And then after that, you know, I got the name Hick Diaz. And people think, like, a lot of people thought that was something I was going to do every fight. And I honestly don't even know where it came from. I was mad, and I wanted to make him pay for making me mad, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's a natural reaction. I think everyone's kind of had that in competition, whether it's combat or just, you know, playing a game of pickup basketball or football or whatever. So totally natural reaction. So now we'll talk about one more thing here, and then we'll sign off for the night. We have we tape these shows a week in advance. We have an upcoming UFC Fight Night card at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas. We generally only talk about the main event here, so let's take a quick look at the main event. We'll ask you for your opinion on that fight and if you have a prediction. This will be a heavyweight main event. This will be live on ESPN+. We have Curtis Blaydes taking on Derek Lewis. You know, Derek Lewis, obviously a huge fan favorite because of his personality and obviously his knockout power. Blaydes, top 5 guy, good wrestler. So, Jason, in looking at this Blaydes versus Lewis fight, I don't know if you know, some fighters come on this show and don't know a whole lot about other fighters, but if you have a breakdown and a prediction of this fight, I'd love to hear it.
Technically wise, I can't tell you exactly who I think is going to win. They're both decent guys. I just know I love watching Derek Lewis. He's a knockout artist. That's what I want to see. I would like to see it be a good fight, a full fight. But at the end of the day, I just want Derek Lewis to put him to sleep because he always, man, I've seen him several times, almost every time that he's got a knockout. Like he would be in a bad position for a while, or, you know, he would be technically losing the fight, and then bam, he shuts the guy's lights off, and that made me a huge fan. So that's what I hope to see. And,
yeah.
You know, no disrespect to Curtis Blaydes or anything, but I would love to see him get put to sleep.
Absolutely, and for our fans in Illinois, Curtis Blaydes actually went to junior college at Harper, which is pretty much right down the road from my house here. But, you know, we'll take a quick breakdown of the fight. Derek Lewis is on a 3-fight winning streak. Actually, only 1 knockout in those 3 wins, which is surprising because most of his fights before that have been by knockout. So most recently knocked out Alexei Oleinik back in August, so we have that. He has struggled against wrestlers, so it will be interesting to see if he can continue to improve his wrestling, because it certainly has improved. Now, with Curtis Blaydes, you have a guy on a 4-fight winning streak with 2 knockouts, coming off a win over Alexander Volkov, who we just saw last weekend knocked out Alistair Overeem. So, Blaydes, obviously a top 5 guy. I, like you, would love to see Derek Lewis win here. Huge fan of Derek Lewis, but I think Curtis Blaydes' wrestling is a little too much, and he's a little hard to get off when he's on top, and he's got a pretty good ground and pound as well. So I will take Blaydes, but I'm hoping for a Derek Lewis victory. So, Jason, thank you again for coming on the show. This is the time in the show where I will give you the floor. You can whore yourself out. Where can we find you? Anybody you'd like to thank, the floor is yours.
Come on, this way.
Check me out on Twitter, Instagram. Twitter is at Jason the Kid. No, I'm sorry. Yes, at Jason the Kid 23 on Twitter. Instagram at JTK the Kid. On Facebook, I've got 2 pages, Jason Knight, and then Jason the Kid Knight is my fan page. Check me out on there. Big thanks to my sponsors. Let's see, Veteran Farms, S&B Welding. I've got a bunch. Anyways, if you sponsored me, thank you. I don't have a list in front of me, so I apologize. I'll make sure the next podcast we got a list in front of me, but I got the main ones. Thank y'all so much for everything. I appreciate it. Made the fight camp, stress-free. So we only got a couple more weeks, and we'll go out here and put on a show for you.
Absolutely. And what is the date again on that iKon Fight Federation?
March the 5th, iKon Fight Federation 5. It will be live on UFC Fight Pass. And if you can make it in person, if not, please make sure you watch on Fight Pass. I promise you, I will not disappoint.
Absolutely, fans, and I will second that. A Jason Knight fight is generally not disappointing. So check that out on UFC Fight Pass. Guys, I'm not even going to plug myself. You know where to find my shit. Facebook, Twitter, posted on Combat Press, Loudmouth MMA Podcast Network, the whole deal, MMA Intel. And that's it. So, Jason, thank you again for coming on. So for Jason Knight, I'm Riley Kontek saying continue watching the fights, continue watching the show, and go fuck yourselves. Good night.